Happy Cyber Monday, everyone. Before we get started here, for 48 hours only for the first 4 people, so either whichever one comes first, we're going to be bringing back that early access Black Friday deal we had. Those got gobbled up quick. Excuse the Thanksgiving joke there, if you will. But we're going to bring back 4 opportunities. If you've been looking to invest in yourself and to get your best physique ever, this is your chance to do it, because you're going to be able to get our 90-day coaching accelerator, one-on-one coaching with me and Kyle, 25% off with an extra term. So you're actually going to, instead of 90 days, get 120 days. So 4 months of accountability for less than the price of 3. So if you want to take advantage of this, we are hard capping this at 4 because this is an absolutely bonkers deal. But you can message us Cyber Monday to make that happen. You know the investment in yourself is worth it. If you've been putting it off, don't wait any longer. This is your chance to get the results you've always wanted. So once again, you can DM us to @ColossusFit, COLOSSUSFIT, the keyword Cyber Monday, to apply and claim one of those first 4 spots. Now into the episode. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
co-host and co-coach KG, and I'm in the house.
And if you're listening to this, I want to say shout out to you. When we look at our analytics, sometimes I notice it's a bit of a ghost town after Thanksgiving. It's that cozy season, right? You had a little bit of turkey, you watched a little bit of football. It was just good, simple, happy living, but it's time to get back to the grind at a certain point. And if you wait too long, it's never a fun feeling. So I want to commend you for tuning into this episode. And maybe you're tuning into this one a week too later. Once again, I still want to commend you for getting after it, because that is what it's all about. And we're going to be talking about this more in a bit, but happy Thanksgiving to you all. I hope it was fantastic. We have an incredible episode for you planned as always. And I'm really excited just to jump right into it with our first question of the day. And this is a fitting question. I'm having a hard time feeling motivated to up my weights because I am at a point where I'm lifting heavy and the weights I am already using are feeling pretty hard. Any advice here? So this is an awesome question, because the reality is when you come to the gym, you start lifting weights and you don't really know the patterns of how to move the weights. You don't have the effective motor patterns to actually do it efficiently. So you can gain a lot of strength really quick and you'll be really weak when you first start. But at a certain point, you're going to maximize all of that. You're going to get pretty good and you're going to be at a weight that's pretty challenging, that's pretty heavy. And there's going to come that crossroads where you're like, oh, I need to up it. And this is why we love the RIR system, because it doesn't lie. It's quite simple. So maybe when you started shoulder pressing 2.5 pound dumbbells. Maybe right now you're all the way up to 22.5 pound dumbbells, and 25 just seems ridiculous because 8 reps is so hard. I can totally understand that, and it can be quite difficult, but even though it's hard, this is where you use that system. And if you're really wondering if you're at RIR 1 for this movement, you can always go past those 8 reps. So if I end up being able to do 11, 12, 13 reps, I have way more in the tank, and it's very likely I'm able to up that weight. Another great example, and this surprises quite a few people, is if you're actually able to do all of your prescribed reps, I would recommend upping your weights. And I know this sounds a little bit crazy, but let's say I'm doing 3 sets of 8 with an RIR 1, so that means I should have about 1 left in the tank, and I get 8, 8, 8. It is better that you actually go ahead and up the weights, do like 8, 8, and then maybe you get 6 on the last one. You fall a tiny bit short, then you eternally just do that 8, 8, 8 because it's uncomfortable to ever up that weight. You're going to get more by challenging yourself, and then you're going to grow into it, and eventually you'll get that 8, 8, 8, maybe RIR 0 at the end, meaning on that 3rd set, you're absolutely pooch. You can't do any more. But over time, you'll notice, hey, maybe on that 3rd set, instead of that 8, I'm going to go a little past it and see, can I get 10? And if you can, you also have the opportunity to up that weight. So I think one of the hard things to understand about working out and lifting and strength training in particular is there's this conception that you're going to get to a certain weight and you're going to be at this special point where everything's easy. I'm super strong. I can move 400 pounds like it's butter. And if that's the reality, good on you for moving 400 pounds like it's butter, but you should be doing more than that. And that's where it is hard, is that goalpost will always move. And unfortunately, your weights will always be hard. They'll always be challenging. I've done multiple powerlifting meets. I've done a lot of lifting, a lot of bodybuilding. And every day I'm in there like, oh, this is going to be tough. Like even today, I had some really heavy squats, heavy deadlifts yesterday. And once again, that's how you progress. Unfortunately, if you're in that comfort zone and you're just selling yourself really short and you're doing like a reps in reserve of like 5, 6, 8, 10, which you'd be amazed how many people do. And I challenge my clients with this all the time. I'll say, send me a video of your set. And I'll say, whoa, we got a lot more in there. So just keep that in mind is once you get strong, you should celebrate being in that position of discomfort because you should eternally be trying to get stronger so you can have more muscular breakdown, more development, and more gains.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And honestly, like I'm going to take it from a different angle because Josh hit it right on the head there. And I want to get you to start thinking about what others can do for you instead of what you can do for yourself. Now, what I mean by this is there's two different ways other people can help you. The first thing would be just getting someone that's stronger than you working out with you. And I get this nice little hack because I always work out with Josh, so it's always motivating. And then anytime I bring along a friend who's stronger or around the same strength in something else, such as the bench press, the squat, or whatever, it also gives me extra motivation. So when I see Josh and others performing at a different level, it gets me to start thinking. And even Josh recently, when I was getting back into squatting after a little groin injury, I was working off of a different kind of 1 rep max, much lower than I should have been. And he was more or less saying, you should up that to 405. So I started performing at a different level because I had that extra person giving me that support and giving me that, I guess you could say, encouragement, because a lot of times you have self-doubt, and that is so normal, especially when you're by yourself in the gym consistently. You've maybe failed a few times, you feel uncomfortable, you feel like your form's breaking down. You have all these negative thoughts, and I've seen some of my clients, like even I've got a few clients that I see in person sometimes, and we go to the same gym, so I'll kind of just give some little tips and tricks. They're online clients, but even when I would take some weight and just put it on the bar, they'll look at me and just kind of give me a little bit of a weird look and then do their set, and they're like, wow, I actually did it. So I would say between kind of getting that extra person to help you in terms of lifting with you, also get those people to kind of encourage you. And even Josh and myself, we can really tell you, like when you film that set, we can say you have this much left in the tank, and mentally you'll start to feel like you can do more from that. So a lot of it just comes down to your mindset, but you can use others around you to help boost your mindset. And that's something I do, and a lot of our clients do as well.
Yeah, even adding on to that, like we used to do these bro workouts where we'd lift with like 6 of our buddies and all just go crazy heavy. And what's so good about that too is even these mindset breaking type workouts is so impactful because even for Kyle, he'll have clients, like especially as a PT, they'll think they're at their weight, they'll think they can't even get their reps. We'll throw a little bit more weight on there and we'll say, I believe in you, and we'll push them. We'll say, oh, come on, bring it, do 2 more, you got this. And then it kind of makes you go, oh my gosh, I've been selling myself really short. And it can be really hard to accept that, but it's really important that you do begin that process because you're just going to rob yourself of so many gains. And the more you can get comfortable with this, the better it can be. And another thing I really like, even to Kyle's point, I think training with people that are stronger, training with people that are going to push you, that are going to call you out if you're slacking, it's really, really impactful, and it really indeed does go a long way. So when you're training with people too, like it's good motivation, even like have common goals, like have a race, like even Kyle's that example of his bench press contest. Maybe even with your friends, say, hey, hold me accountable. These are my goals. My clients all the time will send me that. I want to achieve this number by this date. Like, let's make it happen. And when you put it out there and you make it more real, it's more exciting. It's just hard to get in the gym every day and just be like, I'm going to up my weights and make this super hard for no reason. But there, of course, is the reason of development. But if you gamify it and you say, I'm shoulder pressing those 22s and a half, and that's absolutely awesome. That is awesome. But what do you want to do one day? Would it be insane if you could do 50 pounds? And maybe that's a whole different world of crazy. You're like, I don't know if I could do 50s, but you'll say, hey, by year end, I'm going to get to 30s. And you can break that down. And it's amazing, even in retrospect, like when I started, I just really wanted to bench plate. And then I'm like, 2 plates would be the coolest, best thing ever. And then 3 plates and then 4 plates. And it's really fun having these milestones and becoming more elite. We've also mentioned in the past, I can actually link it in this episode, a strength standards website. So we'll actually say what lifts are elite, good, intermediate, beginner, and novice for your weight. And you can see where you stand. Like if you're novice for every lift and you've been lifting for a while, that's something you should work on. And you could say, hey, I want to get to advanced. Like I want to train hard and get there. So if you want that link, we have that linked in the episode now, which is amazing. It's something I really like. And I want to just be on a different level than everyone else. So those are some of my top tips. Anything to add there?
Yeah, I've just got to say, like myself, I've started to experience some mindset breaking plateaus, I guess you could say. Like even with that bench press, for example, having that competition's been great, but like you have to get past those mental barriers. So myself, like even if Josh would take weight and put on the bar and be like, you got this, I would always say, there's no way. I've never done that before. I failed at this before. So I had to get past that like negative self-talk. And now that I've started to do these numbers I never thought possible, I can go in with such a different mindset because I've done it before. As of late, I've been doing it over and over and over again. I've been repping 275 for multiple reps, which I never did before. Like even on the bench press, right now, my 1 rep max is 305. I'm at a point where I'm hitting 290 for almost 5 sets of 5. And it's like, I'm so close. Like I can comfortably hit a way higher number, but it's because now that I've pushed past that mindset plateau, my physical body's just starting to kind of match up with that. So it makes a big difference. You got to believe in yourself, and having people around you makes a big difference too.
You've been a coach, like a coach to make that happen is the easiest way to go about it. It's absolutely crazy what dedicated programming can do, especially if you're serious about your strength goals. We've coached dozens and dozens of powerlifting clients, and even just clients who were crushing it and we're like, you're pretty strong, you should try it. And then they end up loving it. So if that interests you as well, we do have that Cyber Monday promotion going on for the first 4 people. We have the spots at the discounted rate only for 4 people. So please do not hesitate. This deal is almost too good. Kyle didn't really want to bring it back, but I'm like, let's just do 4. So we're bringing it back, giving the opportunity. Don't sleep on this. But now we're going to get into our quotes. Quotes fire us up. We love to share them with you. Apologize that my dog is being a menace. I have a Pomeranian Husky, and he's really, really shaking right now. So if you're wondering what that is, that's what that noise is. And I'll take off his collar quickly. All right, collar is off. We're good to go. No more weird clanging. But for my quote, we have, if you want it bad enough, you find a way. If you don't want it bad enough, you'll find an excuse. And Greg Plit said this in a motivational video I watched today. And more than ever, I've noticed this. Like I just know a lot of people that want to have abs, they want to be fit, they want to do all these things, but they don't want it more than they want to have like 6 beers on the weekend. They don't want it more than they want to have like their DoorDash with their late night TV. Like the reality is, if your goal isn't something you actually truly want, you're willing to sacrifice for, it just is not going to happen. And it's a harsh reality, but you really need to ask yourself, like, am I serious about my goals? Because I've spoken, there's such a trade-off with being half serious. If I'm telling Kyle all the time, hey, I want to be lean, I want to be better with my nutrition, I want to come to the gym, he never sees me there. I'm always horrible with my nutrition, I'm always failing. I feel like I'm lying to myself. I feel like I'm not capable of achieving these things, when the reality is I haven't applied myself to it. I'm being listened to an audiobook right now that's pretty cool. I can't remember the exact name. I'll find it for later, but it's just talking about the conception that we only have so much time in life and how we really need to be present and aware and make the most of it. And it's a pretty cool look at that. It's definitely a little bit more of a dry read, but I've been working my way through it. And one thing I thought that was really cool that I can relate to a lot, and that's kind of funny, is like I'm 3rd generation, like a carpenter, like home renovations, like very skilled tradesman. I've never liked it because for me, it was always easy just to say, hey, can you fix this for me? Can you do this? And like to this day, I would say I'm not the most handy person. But even in this book, which was cool, this individual was talking to someone. He said his neighbor was fixing his lawnmower, and he said to his neighbor, I wish I could do that. I think that is so cool that you can do that. And the guy said, it's not that you can't do it. You've just never taken the time to actually try. And that was like a light bulb for him. And he said next time there was an issue with his car and his emergency brake was stuck, he got a mat, laid under the car, and he stared at it for 10 minutes. And he figured out where all the wires went, how the clips work, and he fixed it pretty quick. And he said in the past, that would have been something 2 minutes in, he would have said, I got to hire someone. But case in point, if you actually take the time and the care to actually solve a problem, you'd be quite impressed how you can do it. And like by not just having a preconceived notion of like, I can't be fit, the gym's too hard for me, I have hormonal issues, like it's more comforting to say these things, or I'm not good with my hands, or I'm not talented like that. Like once again, of course, some people are more naturally gifted, but if your goals actually mean enough to you and you want it bad enough, you will find a way. So I think it's a really good thing to think about, and don't just half set goals. Like, and get deeper levels. If you're just like, oh, I wish I could have abs, that's not what you wish. Like, what do you wish? Do you wish you could play sports better? Do you wish you had more energy to play with your kids? Do you wish you looked better in your clothes and you didn't feel uncomfortable whenever you put your jeans on? Like, when you can identify that, it makes it a lot more real for you. And then you can say, what do I actually need to do? What do I need to sacrifice to actually make this happen?
I love that. And working off of Josh's quote, I was listening to a motivational video today as well, and he was saying, a lot of people want to be praised in public, but they don't want to put in the work in private. And I thought that was such a great kind of like a carryover to Josh's quote there. And in that same video, so I'm going to link it down below. It's a great one as we're going into like the winter. It's a winter arc. I think Josh shared it with me before, and I've been listening to it almost every day when I can. And it's just great. It's like 30 minutes of just like fire from like a bunch of different people. But Eric Thomas, who we had the pleasure of meeting in Utah maybe a year and a half ago, he said basically, and I'm paraphrasing this, he said, if you have an opportunity, why would you only give 80%? Why wouldn't you give 120%? So I just really like that simple question, because his main point is just like, if you're going to do something, just do it to the best of your ability. Just give it your absolute all. And I try to follow this. Like if I'm going and getting ready for a powerlifting meet, which we might be doing in the next little 6 weeks or so, stay tuned for that. Josh just texted me today, hey, you want to do one of these? I'm like, hey, why not? Like, it's good motivation. But the point is that if I'm going to do something, I want it to, I'm putting in the effort anyways. I may as well just give it my absolute all, whether it's trying to be the best parent and, building the best business and being the best version of myself for my clients and posting the best content. Like, what's the point of doing 60 to 70%? Like, you're going to put the time in anyways, make it your absolute best. So that could apply to anything. And that's my quote for today.
I love that. Like, if you're going to do it right. And even one thing I've challenged myself with today, and I've actually been loving it, it's like not doing what I want to do, it's doing what I know I should do. So it's like, I'm not gonna make my bed, heck with it. I'm like, okay, I'm making my bed. If I'm like, don't want to go on the morning walk because it's cold, I'll go on the morning walk. If I don't want to do my heavy squats, I want to go a little short, I'm like, no, I'm just going to do it. And it's kind of a fun little mindset. So even I love that point too, because if you're going to do it right. Like, and it just feels better even like kind of facing that discomfort and overcoming it. But even into my thoughts, like it's the season of temptations, obviously. Thanksgiving, great, amazing time. I know a lot of people overdo it, and maybe you did. Maybe you're feeling a little discouraged, and maybe because you've overdone it, you stepped on the scale the first time and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I gain 10, 15, 20 pounds? And it's not because of Thanksgiving, it's because of perhaps the last few months or an accumulation of the summer or whatever it may be. But like, this is a very unique time because this is where more than ever you just want to stick to your game plan. Even if Thanksgiving wasn't phenomenal, get right back to it. That analogy of never miss twice. If your last week wasn't perfect, let's make this week a great one. What do you need to do to win out the rest of this season? We have Christmas coming up. It's cold. It's boring. It's not fun. Like, have that higher level thinking. And I spoke about this a little bit previously as well, but this is actually a great time to start setting goals for 2025. And I'm going to spend some good time on this today myself, and just some goals to really get you excited, to ground you, to really make the journey more inspiring and exciting. And it'll be a lot easier for you to kind of stick to your game plan. So maybe if you've been slacking the last few months, the last few weeks, maybe face that head on and create that plan to create that path forward. It's absolutely never too late. And that was just one quick thought I had. And then another fun thought I had that I really loved was just a reel I came across that I thought was absolutely amazing. And just even like if you're feeling anxious about that, or you're feeling overwhelmed in life, like I love these types of things because it just really shows you like, hey, you don't need to do too much for it to be too crazy. But it essentially said, get a haircut, drink some water, hit the gym, read a book, get outside, everything will be okay, don't stress. And it's pretty funny because it's just like a little buzz line of words, but when you think about it and like even saying it out loud, I'm like, ooh, that's a good day. And it goes to show you don't need crazy things in life to make you happy, like mansions and all this insane stuff. Like, enjoy these little components of it and enjoy these little components of the journey. Just enjoy fitness and health for what it is. Don't overthink it. Don't punish yourself for this time over Thanksgiving. Like, just a couple reflections that I hoped would be helpful.
Yeah, one of my biggest reflections is like how much I enjoy post Thanksgiving, because I feel like it's a time where I can lock in and separate myself from the rest. I don't have the exact stats on this, but I'm going to come up with something that I've seen from talking to a lot of different people and hearing about what goes on after Thanksgiving. I'd say probably about 47% of people go backwards just because of all the events, because of the excuses that are easy to make and holidays and this and that. I'd say about 47% also kind of just get by, which, sometimes getting by is okay as well. And then I'd say maybe 6% of people are actually going to progress and move forward and make gains and lose fat and build muscle. And I want to be part of that 6%. I would say it's probably a little bit less than that, but just for the sake of simplicity in terms of numbers, I just pick that one there. And yeah, it's just a time to be the best version of yourself. It's time to show up consistently. And, when others are going to take the breaks, you just still enjoy your time. Don't get me wrong, but you still show up for yourself, because when you're that person who does, most people won't be doing it. So the question is, how can you do the best you can leading into 2025 and get started to think about that. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to just double down and be the best version of yourself for yourself and those around you. So that's all I got for that one.
Yeah, it's real easy to take your foot off the gas. Everyone's doing it. No one's working. No one's eating well, no one's training, no one's getting outside on their runs or their walks. It's very easy to be part of that, but you'll pay the price for that, and you're going to be starting in a deficit in 2025. Instead, why not get ahead, set yourself up for success? I mean, it's fun to be fit and healthy. Like, enjoy the process for what it is, and I think Kyle said that incredibly well. Just utilizing this time for what it is, and even for me, I just find accepting something for what it's at. Like, I love going on walks in the summer. It's like one of my favorite things. It's very hard to be motivated to do it when it's windy and cold. It just sucks. Like, cold wind on your face is just not fun at all, or it's all slushy and gross, or there's ice and you think you're going to die. Like, but you got to work with the situation there. You got to find these solutions, and maybe if you're a little less active, you'll really hone in on your cooking, and you can bundle up and start cooking really healthy food. Maybe you'll spend a little extra time in the gym really enjoying lifting because there isn't as many things to do outside. Like, you just need to find solutions instead of instantly looking for obstacles and seeing them as being insurmountable. So I find that mindset shift is so impactful. So yeah, really, really great points there. And who do we have for our client shout out? Who's someone who had that mindset shift and who has been absolutely crushing it?
So this week we have Jeff, who's been working with Coach Armando, and I love these types of transformations when they're ongoing. So we've showcased him before. He's made some great progress. He's lost about 50 pounds or so. But the best part about this one is that he's continuously moving forward. He's not someone who's taken his foot off the gas. He's not someone who's seen some results. We post him and show, hey, 90 days he's done this, and he goes backwards. But he's someone who consistently shows up, and he's just a completely different person. His entire lifestyle has changed. But even like, while I'm talking about his lifestyle, what's cool is he's incorporated this entire journey into his lifestyle. He's someone who is, always on the go for work. He's a busy dad. He's approaching 40. He works in the alcohol industry as well. So I know that was a barrier and a kind of a self-limiting belief at first, not knowing that he'd be able to actually still, do the tasting, still do everything he needs to do, go out to dinners and, socialize and actually still see progress. So I'm really proud of Jeff here at Colossus Fitness. We absolutely are. And the biggest thing is, if you're thinking that this journey is going to take away from your life, or you can't fit it into your schedule, like, you just got it all wrong. Like, our biggest mission is to meet you where you're at and set you up for success. And even Jeff here, he said having a great support system was helpful. Obviously, having friends, family, coach, all that great stuff was a game changer. And if you've ever thought about getting one-on-one support, I promise you this is the time. Just message us Cyber Monday. You will not regret it. You'll be like Jeff and 4,500 other people who have seen results and success, and we can't wait to help you out at this amazing deal.
Yeah, and Jeff is looking jacked. Let's celebrate Jeff together and him taking action, moving forward. Like, show some love on the Instagram post. All these shoutouts have associated posts so you can see it. And where you can get a lot of value, where you can be a little selfish here, and you should be a little selfish, is take their tips. We ask them, what are your tips? How do you make this happen? Like, what are your biggest takeaways? So you can literally get the biggest takeaways from people that are doing exactly what you want to do, totally free. So if you're not following us and you're not taking advantage of that, you're missing out. Because even me, that's like one of my favorite things to see, because I'm like, oh, that's such a good point. I need to improve here. And these are people where things are working. Like, stop getting your advice from all the people that you're seeing at your family events where they're saying, you got to stop eating carbs. That's what worked for me. And you're like, whoa, you're unfortunately 100 pounds overweight here, right? Like, look for the people that are winning and try to emulate that and have them inspire you and push you forward. So just a note there. All right. For our second question, we have how to deal with gym anxiety. I don't like going to the center of the gym or using the popular machines because I am newer on my fitness journey. Any tips? So I have a few tips. I know Kyle will knock this one absolutely out of the park, but my big takeaway is we're all paying for a membership. We all have equal rights to be there. I've been lifting 13 plus years. You've maybe been lifting 13 weeks. That doesn't give me any more like ownership of that gym or a piece of equipment or whatever. If you're using it to better yourself and you're being respectful, that's all that matters. I really wouldn't overthink it to the point that people are staring at you. Most people are focused on themselves, how they look, if they're doing things right, their journey. People don't really have time to care about you, unfortunately. So I'd really take it out of your head. And I've been going so long and I've had like net 99.9 positive interactions, and it's hard for people to be angry and upset when they're in a place where they're lifting heavy weights, they have an outlet, they're being healthier, they're working on themselves. Like, it's going to be a lot more of a welcoming environment than like a bar or something like that. So it's a place where generally people are all trying to get fitter and healthier. And if you're just benching the bar on a bench, but you're doing it, power to you. I think where people will get upset is if you're obviously doing things with no respect, like taking 4 machines. But if it can pass the common sense test, I would not overthink it. And like, to that point of going to the center of the gym, like, why not? Like, people aren't looking at the center any more than the rest. Like, maybe you're in more lines of sight than perhaps if you're tucked in a corner, but there's great machines there for a reason, and you need to use what you need to do to be the best version of yourself. And if you let other people potentially looking at you or overthinking or judging your form take away from your opportunity to succeed and actually get better, like that is just a horrible price to pay when, like I said, most people do not care. And if you're really worried about form in particular, film yourself, ask someone. Most people in the gym are extraordinarily friendly and they'd be more than happy to help. Anytime someone said, hey, can you give me your thoughts on this, or can you do something, more than happy to help, especially when people are just looking to improve and get better. So those are the quick notes off my head. I know Kyle will have some great tips here.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but nobody really cares about what you're doing. They more so care about themselves. And I heard this a while back and I thought it was so powerful because I started to notice different trends with myself. You know, if I'm wearing a tank top and I'm thinking, oh man, the pump is crazy, I'm wondering if other people are noticing. Like, you know, we're all, a lot of us are thinking about ourselves, and that's just the reality. I think the only thing to be considerate of and like pay attention to if you happen to go into the middle of the gym is, as long as you're not being that obnoxious person, like you'll be totally fine. Like there'll be some people, you know, just I'm doing a lat pull down, they're doing the seated row across from me and they're swinging like crazy and they're grunting like crazy and they slam it like crazy. I'm going to look at them and I'll be like, man, like why? Like what are you doing here? You know, and that's a very different circumstance than someone who else is just trying to get the right form and they might be leaning too forward, or, you know, they're using weight too light for them or whatever it is. Like nobody will ever care. And I just think it's such an amazing space where it's like Josh said, nothing but great experiences, but there obviously will be that one kind of hothead or whatever you want to call it who grunts and runs around and does make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But the truth is that you might be like intimidated and kind of worried about that. Other people are also thinking the same thing, that they're like, you know, just, whoa, like what's this person doing or whatever. But yeah, it's just such an amazing space. And I think the day that you, in a sense, I want to say stop caring, but I want to say considerately stop caring is great. Because, you know, if you stop caring and you're like, I'm never going to wipe anything, this is my gym, like I own this, like that's a different story. But if you kind of stop caring about what others think around you in terms of just like your form, in terms of just like whatever it is that you're doing, you'll be in a really good spot. But yeah, ask questions, like go up to someone who looks like they know what they're doing, and you'll start to feel so much better at yourself. Even that one tip, if you're doing a lat pull down and some trainers there or someone who looks like they have the form down, or you've seen them in the gym for the last little while that you've been there, and if you ask them, like it'll give you so much more confidence. And I think most people's lack of confidence stems from just like being unsure. And even if you get our free form guide, like it'll give you so many, like our YouTube channel, we have 120 videos on how to do proper form. If you're struggling with something and you take a few tips and notes from that, you're going to feel so much better going in the middle of the gym because you've watched that video and because we've helped you out. So yeah, make sure to check that out as well.
Yeah, and like even today, I read this Daily Stoic thing by Ryan Holiday. It'll just be like a point and a different thought. And he was saying how like if you go outside and look at the stars or look at a mountain or something really vast, it makes you realize like how small our problems are. And what I'm getting at here is weird. If something weird does happen in the gym or someone's odd, it isn't that serious. Like in a funny example, I was working out with my buddy today, and he said to me, he's like, you see that trainer? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, he came up to me when I was using the squat rack and said, hey, how many sets do you have left? And he's like, oh, I got 2. You can have it right after. And the trainer pointed to his client and he's like, well, and my buddy's like, well, I got 2 sets left, man. And then like, because the guy was basically inferring, stop everything you're doing, I have a client. But once again, he's paying for that gym membership. Like you can't really let people bully you around. And even to that point, I had a crazy weird interaction the other day where I grabbed the machine and I would like to wipe it down before I use it because it's a sweaty machine. It's a preacher curl. So I put my stuff there. I went, quickly got it, and I walked back and the guy was on my machine. And I'm like, what the heck, man? And he's like, well, how many sets do you have left? I'm like, 3. And he's like, okay, you can wait till I'm done, essentially. And I was like, what in the world? Like, I've never had anything like that. And then I thought, why do I care? Like, some people, unfortunately, are just going to be weird. It's going to happen. Someone's going to cut you off and you could scream at them and 99% of people could think you're right. You're not going to change their mind. So, like, this isn't even something that's going to happen. I can say 3 different times that I've had weird interactions in the gym in 13 plus years of lifting. you're going to be fine. Like I said, it's such a positive place. It's not a place to be anxious. And when you really realize, like, a lot of these things don't matter, right? Like if you go to use a machine, someone go, oh, I'm on that, and they're using 4 machines, whatever. Like it's fine. Like you're like, okay, let me know when you're done. Like it's really not a big deal. Like some people, I know it's hard when you do have a lot of like social anxiety to overthink these things. But I really stress, like if you want to get more comfortable and you want to get better, it just comes from getting into the gym and just doing these things more and more and getting more comfortable, especially when you have a home gym and you go to the same place often. You'll see familiar faces, you'll smile at people, you'll make friends, you'll know your equipment, you'll kind of know your little route, you'll have your little watch of like, okay, I could do this exercise next or this exercise, be watching when the machines are ready. Sometimes while I'm doing my stuff, I'm like, oh, go get it. Like, so you kind of start to figure that out. So I thought that was a really fun question. Anything to add there?
No, that was very well said.
All right. And then last but not least, how do you feel motivated to go to the gym when it feels like the last thing you want to do? So I'm going to just quick fire this one because I have my thoughts. So I love motivational videos. If you like hoorah, like just pumped up, you just like seeing airplanes fly when you're just getting fired up and it's people grunting and lifting heavy, motivational videos will do the trick. There's even this old deadlift video I loved watching. It's just like this guy deadlifting in his basement in front of his laundry machines. It always gets me fired up. And like I watched that, I'm like, okay, I got to deadlift 700 now. Like I got to make this happen. So to me, that's a great way to kind of fake the motivation. Sometimes I'll just listen to some extra hype music. I'll take some pre-workout. But the big thing too, and the easiest way is have a consistent gym schedule. Like have a time you go, because you'll feel a little bit uncomfortable if you don't go. And it makes it a lot easier if you're just like, this is the time I have budgeted and I need to be out of there by this time, because there's no lollygagging. If I say I'm going to go at some point this day, maybe you'll lay in bed in the morning and watch reels and you'll just hang around. I'll go later, and then night comes, you're like, oh, it's too late to go now. Whereas if you're like, I need to be there from 9 to 10:15 because I need to be somewhere at 10:30, makes it way easier just to get it done. So I do find that's a great way to make that happen. The other thing that I said earlier is it's not a metric of what you want to do, it's what you need to do. And just seeing it as that and seeing like I need to get in there. And anytime I start a workout, it feels amazing. So to me, it's just like, I just need to get there. I'm going to do it. And you'll never regret a workout that you went to the gym for. So those are my quick tips.
Yeah. Quick answer is just, I still show up. That's the biggest thing. It's one of those things that when you build that habit, you're going to become unstoppable. And I think a lot of times people don't get to that point where they've built up that habit, because it's always a question of, when do I go? Am I going to go? 1 week on, 1 week off, 1 month on, 1 month off. So for me, it's more so like, no matter what happens in my life, it's going to be a habit. And I start to feel weird when I don't. And even having taken a little extra rest and time off than I was used to, it was only a few days, I was just like, man, I'm craving this. Like I need it. And I think when you get to that point where it's just like, it's considered more normal, and like what you do versus what you don't do, you just do it. And that's what makes such a big difference. Like so many people struggle with that because they've never showed up for long enough to just like do it, whether you're motivated or not. So that's going to be my simple answer. And that's something that I live by and I guess die by.
Yeah, I mean, he's living by it right now. Kyle had a little baby about 5 days ago, which is incredibly exciting. You can get a sneak peek of her on our Instagram, but he's here doing these podcasts. He's a little bit sick, probably a little bit sleep deprived, but he's like, I got to show up. I got to get out some great info to the people. And I'm sure it's hard, even the thought of like, oh, I need to podcast today. But when you get doing it, it was great energy, a great episode, and it just goes a long way. And when you keep showing up for yourself, it's easier. It would be weirder to not show up for yourself. So also a fun teaser, like next week we'll do a question, obviously, since Kyle is right in the heat of it right now, trying to figure out how to navigate with a newborn. If you have kids, you've been there, you know what's up. But next week we'll ask him how it's going, what his tips are, what he's struggling with, what he's succeeding with. And I think that'll be a really fun little question there. And if you want to submit more questions, you can go ahead and do that on our Instagram. You can see the transformation there. And once again, we got 4 spots available for this extra bonus. We're getting 25% off, and you're getting an extra 33% time, so an extra 30 days on top of it. So once again, don't miss out on this. Message us Cyber Monday to our Instagram at ColossusFit, ColossusFit. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We'll see you on Thursday, and we'll see you next Monday as well.